Nancy Bennett speaking, I think. Is it? Yeah. Well, what time? I'm not sure which one you'll do. Okay.
She was young, fun and extremely bubbly. I remember how she would chat to us about things she did after school, like going to the gym, seeing her friends or visiting family. I remember her teaching us stimulating lessons and reading us wonderful stories. She implanted a dream and I wanted to be a teacher just like her. In May, my last year of primary school, I remember completing my SATs, which was the only test I had completed in Key Stage 2 that I remember. I didn't feel pressurised, yet I achieved level 4 and 5s in my maths, English and science, and I was happy with my results. Now I am in my second year of teaching in a primary school, and I test my children every 4 weeks. And does this help them? I'm not so sure. Obviously it helps to see where the children's levels are and how they have progressed, but they get assessment, and so do I. It means more marking, inputting data, waiting for moderation, and then analysing the data. This is time I would actually rather spend teaching. There are several tasks I do as a teacher where I wonder, who am I doing it for? What are the children benefiting from this? I feel the word teacher doesn't actually mean teach anymore. It means admin, organiser, data inputter. And doesn't Michael Rose see a problem with this? Is he genuinely thinking about the children's futures when he decided that we need to do all of these administration tasks? Constantly being monitored and graded does not only strive to achieve outstanding, it creates an untrusting work environment where I feel I cannot achieve my full potential. The goalposts change and the criteria lengthens. Although I see why schools are doing this with the fear of opposite looming, it doesn't make any sense in my daily teaching. In my opinion, good and outstanding teachers are well rested, have a bond with their children, and have time to converse with them.
Stand up for education, stand up for Britain's teachers, and stand up for your great union, the NUT. I'm very proud that I started my working life in the trade union working for the NUT, and I know that you're all very proud to be NUT members. As Alex said, I'm here to bring the TUC's solidarity to all of you. We're 100% behind this strike and every one of you who's given up a day at work, a day that you spend normally in your dedicated profession of nurturing the education of Britain's children, to stand up for what you believe in and what your union believes in. You're taking this action today on day 3 of the TUC's Fair Pay Fortnight, and the banner headline for that campaign is Britain needs a pay rise. And when we say Britain needs a pay rise, we include Britain's teachers in that. But what's happening instead is being attacked. And at the same time as you're working longer hours, as the young teachers up here have described, you're heading for a retirement at 68 on a lower pension. So what is likely to happen? You're going to be toiling away in the classroom, preparing lessons till your late 60s, and you're going to end up knackered. And according to the government, education for our children. I don't know whether any of you heard this morning the Minister David Laws calling this strike bizarre and ridiculous on the radio. Well, I'll tell you what's bizarre and ridiculous. Demoralised, undervalued teachers with huge increases to workloads, the end of national pay bargaining, the end of national pay progression, and so-called performance-related pay that's just going to bring more bureaucracy and more pay inequality. Unfair and divisive. And is this going to raise educational standards? Well, of course it's not. It's another case of ideology triumphing over what's good for our schools. And as all this is going on, as Jeremy said, our schools facing the most sweeping reforms in living memory. More academies, more free schools, and more privatisation. I don't know whether you noticed the other day, the Education Secretary, Mr. Gove, not ruling out when he was challenged the prospect of our schools in the future being run for profit. But already we've got state education lining the pockets of private investors and consultants. Already nearly £80 million of taxpayers' money has gone to private consultants in the academies and free schools programme, and that is money that should be going into children's education. About Britain's children. Now, by next year, the TUC has calculated that an extra 180,000 children with a parent working in the public sector, because of the cuts, will end up in poverty, directly because of the government's policies. And those are the very children who are going to be shortchanged by the changes in our school system that this great union, the NUT, is campaigning against. What these children need and deserve is high-quality education provided by professionally qualified teachers, in state schools accountable to their local communities. Now today, all of you and your colleagues around Britain are telling the government that you're not going to stand by as they attack teachers' pay and conditions. You're not going to stand by and see our schools run by hedge funds and profiteers. And the TUC is right with you in your fight for fairness for teachers and other dedicated public sector workers. And we're with you in your resistance to the marketeers and the privatisers who want to monetise every part of our public realm, not just education. So we're there to help you and support you in whatever ways we can. And so I say to Mr. Gove, it's time to listen, it's time to engage with teachers properly, to suspend the proposed changes to teachers' pay, and to stop putting politics before pupils. Mr. Gove, you just can't build world-class schools on third-rate terms and conditions. Education is not for sale. Teachers need respect and fair reward. And that's why teachers are on strike today. And that's why the TUC supports teachers. Thank you very much for listening.
It's absolutely fantastic. I can't even begin to list all the places where there are rallies today. There's Bradfield, there's Sheffield, Nottingham, Bristol, Brighton, Cardiff, and of of course Birmingham, where Kevin is speaking today. And of course the brilliant demonstration that we've got here. It's a fantastic turnout. And I want to thank you all for the commitment that you showed to education and the commitment that you showed to the National Union of Teachers by being here on the streets and in this rally today. But let me first of all start with some thanks. I want to thank Alex for the brilliant chairing and organisation of the march today. It was a fantastic route, and I have to say, it was a stroke of genius to form up outside the BBC, wasn't it? They did actually get me to do one or two things. But the point is that they will have not failed to hear teacher roar, will they? Big thanks to Matt and the many other trade unions who sent us good wishes. Unison, NUJ, ASEP, PCS, of course the FBU, and of course internationally from our colleagues and friends in Australia and across Europe. And the point is, it's not surprising that we've got these messages of support and solidarity, because the neoliberal policies and kind of privatisation that Matt talked about are affecting not just teachers, although today we're talking about teachers, but public sector workers everywhere. And of course we thank the MPs, a small handful of them, who have sent us good wishes. We're very pleased that Jeremy joined us, but we also had a message of support from Dave Anderson and from Theresa Pierce, and we did have a message of support from Caroline Lucas in the Green Party. We're very pleased to have that support. Most of the members, the classroom teacher members, who've spoken up so passionately about education and their teachers, not exhausted ones, not ones ground down by the accountability regime that is ruining so many teachers' lives. Colleagues, many column inches and the odd bit of footage will be dedicated to various opinions about the role of this strike today, the value of it, the loss of a day's education for young people, and in fact whether teachers should even have the right to strike. The ITB did a poll this morning, 70% in favour of teachers having the right to strike, 30% said against a very clear majority. But on behalf of your union, on behalf of the NUT, I say that this was exactly the right thing to do. With working hours for primary school teachers, primary classroom teachers going up to 60 hours, and so much time, as you've heard, spent on arid data collection and accountability measures. When teachers feel they have to work not just on Sunday, but on Saturday too, and when many members make common calls across organisations that campaign for children not to be robbed of childhood, we know that this is the right time to stand up for education. And when even the head of Ofsted, Michael Wilshaw, tells anyone who will listen that 2 in 5 teachers have left the profession by the end of their 5th year, that's a 40% rate of attrition, then we know that we have to stand up and say teaching has to be a job that people can actually do. And let me at this stage, in the Ofsted section of my remarks, say that we were joined at the beginning of the march, and most of the march, by a group of teachers from Mount Carmel College School in Islington. On the march, one of them got a text to say that Ofsted is visiting the school tomorrow. And I have to say, with very heavy hearts, they decided not to stay to the rally, but actually to go back into school to do 1 or 2 bits of preparation. Now, we will write to Ofsted and we will tell them this is utterly unreasonable. But of course the thing is, it's unreasonable for them because they haven't been at work today. But actually, the whole Ofsted regime is completely unreasonable. Yeah. Before the end of the day, the details of Mount Carmel College School in Islington, and send them a message saying we're very sorry that they weren't able to stay to the rally, and we understand. But frankly, it shouldn't be Mount Carmel's teachers scurrying about. It should be Ofsted of whom we see the back. Anyway, let me go on to talk about when the curriculum is dictated and driven by unacceptable and overzealous assessment regime, when children are told that they failed, you heard this, at an age when they haven't even started school in most other countries in the world, frankly. The idea that our children are failing the phonics test, when children in Scandinavia and all over the place don't even start school till they're 7, when unaccountable corporations and other shady outfits are taking our money, taxpayers' money, to set up schools, and as we know, they then often fail to offer the education that they promise they'll deliver, we know that it's time to stand up for education. So when Mr. Gove rides roughshod over every child's right to a qualified teacher, and then fails in one of his key duties, which is to make sure that every child has a school place, we know it's time to stand up for education. And when members tell us, as these members have, and as so many of you will have done, tell us that they love teaching, they absolutely love teaching, but they are crushed by the long hours and the stifling accountability regime, that they simply can't stay in teaching. And we know now we have to stand up for education. So we have been standing up for education all over the country, all over England and Wales, on Saturday mornings, not on strike, but actually in schools where we've been engaging with the public, engaging with parents, and talking about qualified teacher status, talking about the fact that it's not right that local authorities can't open schools, talking about the fact that rushed changes to the curriculum and assessment are wrong for children as well as being wrong for teachers. And how has this been received on the streets? Right, this is the audience participation section of the speech. Have you been on a stall on a Saturday? Yes. Did people like your message? Yes. Right, listen closely to this question. Did people generally say, well, actually, I think Michael goes doing quite a good job? No. Of course they didn't, because he isn't doing absolutely terrible job. But actually what's really interesting is that even maybe the STRB don't think he's doing a very good job, because he's the first Secretary of State for Education ever to have his evidence routinely rebuffed by the STRB. So we know, because we've been an active union, we've been a campaigning union, we've been taking action all over the place, we know that we held on to those conditions in the STRB, and the STRB didn't listen to what Michael Gove wanted. But no change on those conditions is no advance either. So we have to achieve more, and the strike today is part of that. Workload, as we all know, is a huge issue in every sense for every teacher. But the other two aspects of our dispute are important too. You may have seen the graph on the NUT website, and as workload has been going up, the value of your pay has been going down. I don't know whether you've actually saw David Laws this morning on Sky TV. One or two people did see him. Kevin Courtney was on Sky TV first. He was absolutely, Kevin was fabulous, he was absolutely fantastic. And at the end of his interview, Aidan Carl said to Kevin, so what message do you have for David Laws? And he said, you should listen to us, you should be not making these changes. And then David Laws came along and said, well, if the NUT have got a problem, I think they should just pick up the phone and speak to me. So I did. I'm absolutely sure he'll be available to speak to me at 5 o'clock. I'll be reporting back later. The point is that we are facing enormous challenges. You teachers here today, you want to do the very best for every single child and young person, and you want to work with colleagues to do it, and performance-related pay is not a way to do that. And the fact is that there is good international evidence to show that it doesn't work. So, as Kay said earlier, this is a triumph of ideology over any evidence. We know that teachers need to be paid a proper salary, not in competition with each other. So we put to government a set of quite clear and understandable demands. They were. So this is not even pushing out, not even changing the policy, but we might, the National Executive might have stood down the strike action today if we got any of these. They were to publish the existing pay points, say that portability is normal, and tell every school that they have to budget for every teacher getting pay progression at the end of the year. They said no to all of those things. So when you hear that there's progress in the talks, I'd like you to tell me what progress you conceivably think there is if they can't even say no to those demands. And of course, teachers, as we know, are not the only group who work this. For whom working well over 60 is too late. We've heard from Matt, and I must say, if I were being saved from a burning building, I say this advisedly, I would want it to be a fit fire. It's all those paramedics. It's the Prison Officers Association. And again, let me digress a minute with the question of the Prison Officers Association. I am very proud to say that the NUT stands with all of those people who are campaigning against the appalling policy that Chris Graham is campaigning, that prisoners now cannot have books. Anti-personal development kind of policy is that. And if you didn't read Richard Tomlinson's article about reading the ragged trousered philanthropist when he was in prison, of course we know that Richard Tomlinson never should have been in prison, but he used the opportunity of being in prison to talk to other prisoners and to read the ragged trousered philanthropist. The idea that prisoners can't have books, I think, is appalling. It makes you wonder what other policies this government can possibly come up with. So, in combination with engaging parents, pressuring our politicians, and today being on the streets and taking strike action, we know that we are the union that is really fighting for teachers and seeking to win. But we want to do this with other unions. We want to continue to coordinate in the talks with all of them. We want to continue to see as much coordinated action as we can, and of course we do go to all of the meetings at the TUC to talk about this. And let me just say one thing before I give my mind up, which is this. Teachers are concerned about an education for everyone. Teachers are also concerned about appalling immigration policies. So if you haven't signed the petition about Yashika Bagirati, then I ask you to sign it. Up until when I looked at it this morning, 124,000 people had said that it's absolutely wrong to deport this young woman and deprive her of an education. And I'm delighted that the NUT group in Enfield sent me a message about that today. So make sure that that's another job that you go and do after sending Mount Carmel their wishes of solidarity. Colleagues, austerity policies are destroying the lives of very, very, very many people. They're destroying the lives of the children with whom we work and their families. I echo the words of all of the speakers, and I want to go back to what Alex said. We in this room, we are the people who know what a good education looks like, who know what a decent society looks like, who know what social justice looks like. We are on strike in the week, as has already been said by a number of speakers, where we are witnessing the funeral of Bob Crow and Tony Benn. I shared lots of platforms with both of them. And Tony Benn said many original things, but one of the less original things he said was, the old slogans are the best. Unity is strength, united we stand, divided we fall. I am my brother's keeper, and of course, never cross the picket line. in the utmost humility, although I have used it publicly before when we were at the People's Assembly, and I encourage you all incidentally to be on the big demonstration of the People's Assembly on June the 21st. When the Sunday Times, it was the Sunday Times, not the Daily Mail, when the Sunday Times interviewed me at conference last year, they said two things that I found the most amusing. First of all, they made reference to my purple hair and my Chairman malcounts. But the thing of which I'm immensely proud was that they concluded by saying, this woman is Bob Crow with pencils. It was very amusing and one of the most delightful things that we have ever seen in the Sunday Times. So I think it's absolutely brilliant that we've had such a good day today. But there is very much more to do. We need to make sure that the campaign continues, and it will continue. The executive will be meeting to bring forward ideas to NUT conference. And in the week of two major funerals, I'm sure that we must conclude with the words, don't mourn, organise. Let's